set of springs. Try to get the spring rate correct on our home built long travel. If you've been on the channel before, you've been seeing we've been building all these parts. Just so far it's only on live streams. When I get it all ripping and ready to go, I will put together a nice video of the build process and of the performance and things like that. But right now we're gonna get the third set of springs in. So I gotta pull the wheels, drop the upper control arms, get the coilovers out because we need to switch springs. And I realized that the coilovers I ordered did not come charged, so I'm gonna have to take those to get charged with nitrogen. Then we'll get the new springs on, get this thing back together. I'm gonna move the limit strap so we have some more down travel. Let's get into it. The air hose out here. Got a lot of preload on these coilovers, so I'm going to try to get the soft spring fill up the truck up higher. So I'm going to have to drop the suspension down. I'll take the limit strap off, and crank a bunch of preload out. Hopefully that'll go as well before I tear this apart. first gen Tundra with 2020 style front end. It's a fiberglass tilt front end, fiberglass bedsides, 2020 taillights. It's a McNeil kit. McNeil Racing out of California, they make these fiberglass pre-runner kits. So it's quite a bit wider in front, quite a bit wider in back, and then obviously I painted everything to kind of go together. Alright. Hopefully that's the most boring part you gotta watch. It's not high up enough. We'll make it taller. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is jack up on that control arm, and then we'll get the limit strap loose so we can drop this down as far as possible to crank the preload out of the springs. Seems it's too tight to crank the preload out like that. Just get it down nice. Hopefully when I'm loosening the preload up on that, I don't strip the nut, because FOA makes their retaining nut out of aluminum and it's on a steel body, so with a lot of pressure on it, they can have problems. So we're going to take it real easy, hopefully. Going to loosen up the set screw on it, and then we'll start backing her off and hope that nothing horrific happens. We're going to wear a glove just in case this thing decides to jump. It's a lot of spring pressure there. Love that. Oh yeah. It's already starting to strip. I'm not totally sure how I'm going to get that to go without popping that upper retainer. Not like that one bit. I have a feeling I'm going to be buying another retaining nut, which is super irritating because it's a week to get here. I don't think I can get a spring compressor in there. Hang that down so it doesn't slip. put enough weight on the truck that it compresses this side, limit strap off, probably pop the upper control arm out so I can, there's a big lizard, so I can drop it down super far and hope with minimal spring tension I can straighten that out before it strips. Yay, aluminum parts on steel. So, I got another jack stand. Yep. Put it under the passenger side. Jack up on this side. And release. That's a win. One down. Probably can do the upper control arm bolt. Put my brake line zip ties. Take the speed sensor off. I think I'm going to pop the tie rod loose too, just so I can get maximum droopage. When in doubt, get a bigger wrench. Yeah, first gen with the McNeil front clip to make it the 2020 style. Good eye. Get a hammer and knock that sucker loose. Not a lot of room to swing. one bolt hold up the control arm. That's why I love this truck. Now there's a chance I can compress a spring, huh? Let's do that extend. It might be full. I think that's full droop. Monkey's working on stuff, huh? Alright, basically full extension. Now if we can get a spring compressor on there, not decent. We can hopefully line that nut up and then just hand screw it up. This is spooky. Got about 2 inches of compression, 1.5 inches of compression on it. So it's about 450 pounds of spring weight on it. This gives a pry bar. See if I can squeeze down on it and knock that out safer. I don't really want it to just bust out at me with all that spring pressure and everything. Just broke my brake hose. Super cool. Didn't break my face though. This may actually be a decent way to work on this. It's kind of a workbench. I'm going to try to knock it straight again on the threads and then loosen it back. Wish me luck. Open it up. Seems like it doesn't have any pressure on it.
Don't be cheap, guys. Buy good coilovers. I thought I did. All right, we'll take the coilover off. We'll get that spring uncompressed. That's sketchy. I think we'll take that over to the grass. Let the pressure off of it. Well, we're nice and clear. Hey, juniors. It's like a loaded gun. that, don't get lost in the fingers. Drink break. How's everybody doing today? Procrastinating working on your second gen Tundra? What do you got to do on that? Hot day. It's supposed to be like 90 something here in Florida today. Rear axle swap and a smog pump. Why do you got to swap the rear axle? I did axle seals on this a while back. It was pretty easy actually. But I'm guessing you're pulling the whole differential and everything, swapping the whole housing out. Is anybody else doing anything today? I still got to get this other coilover out of the other side. See if we can crank the nut up on this one. I'll grab the coilover. such a shame somebody would do that. Aluminum. I think I saved it, but I know where I got to set it for my new spring rate. So I'll just be bringing it down, setting it, and then I'll put it in the truck clamped and assembled. Wheel speed sensor to read correctly. 5 sensors, rear harness, ABS module. Still doesn't read properly. That's crazy. So you think it's the ring inside on the axle? Bent axle or the tone ring. I had the wheel bearing replaced, but its rear end got noisy again. Man, that sucks. So are you doing the whole rear end like assembly, or are you just doing an axle? Like with one ring on it? Well, that should be a pretty easy job. Hey, crew time. Yeah, when I did my rear axle seals, so I had to pull the whole assembly out of the side. It was actually pretty quick. It was only like half a day, being like maybe 3-4 hours, being real lazy, pulling everything off for this. I know the first gen's different than the second gen, but it was pretty straightforward. I got this truck for $2,900 5 years ago. When I got it, brakes are all needed to be replaced, shocks were all bad, wheel bearing, control arms had bad bushings. What else? It was like a little bit. It was literally a little bit of everything. Rear axle seals leaked. the rear brake cylinders were bad. Bleeders were broke off the front. Ball joints, tie rods were all bad. It was just completely slopped out. And then I just kind of kept it running. Did little repairs like coils and stuff like that over the year. And then a year ago, I was changing an injector and didn't know that it filled the cylinder full of gasoline and fired it over, and it hydrolocked and blew the freaking rod. Actually blew two rods because it came around and all the impact. So then I rebuilt the junkyard short block. But I have bigger plans actually for power plant now, but we'll see how long it takes to save up for that. For now, I got to get this front suspension tuned up, get cranking, go do a bunch of action videos. Must have had a little something in there. Bolt's supposed to slide. Clean that out with a drill bit. I'm gonna do a Toyota power plant, but not the Tundra power plant. Putting together a video hopefully this weekend to talk about my plan, so I don't want to reveal all, but it'll be Toyota 2JZ. Wouldn't that be fun? I like the 2UZ a lot, but bottom end, I mean, it's great for like towing, but trying to do burnouts with 35s is like pretty disappointing. On the low end, like when you're off-roading and stuff like that, it really just kind of, it'll truck through stuff, but it doesn't have like a lot of, you got to hit stuff with speed if you want to maintain speed. It doesn't like pick up speed as you're hammering on it. It's solid, but it's just not super low end power. These aluminum retaining nuts are got to be the dumbest thing. Pardon my French. Working on this coilover. I understand you don't want your body to be the wear item, but soft cast aluminum doesn't have a lot of strength when you put spring pressure against it, and you got to think that this retaining nut is retaining the spring in place, so it's got all the weight of the vehicle and an aluminum nut on a steel body. So it puts a lot of side force on the threads anytime you adjust preload, and then you clamp it, and it's clamping a large area, but coilovers you're supposed to be able to adjust. And if you can't adjust them without having issues with the materials. It's kind of disappointing. Other than that, the shock seems wonderful. Pretty robust. Pretty easy to take apart. I like them charged up with nitrogen. I didn't realize when I ordered them that they didn't come charged. But try to get that taken care of early next week. Nobody's open to do it over the weekend. Just set the crossover after I do the math on where the crossover ring needs to land. Couple of turbos. I was initially thinking of turboing this, but then I found out about another option. So I'm planning to go that route. The bad thing about the 2UZs is the connecting rods are really thin. Here's one of the ones I broke out of the original 2UZ. A lot of light in here. But as you can see, it's like the size of my finger. So it's not overly strong. So if you want to boost it, you got to do connecting rods. It's not a ton of connecting rod options, but you can get early 1UZ connecting rods will bolt right in. All right, got that cranked. Hopefully never have to move that again. They got a beer bottle opener on the spanner wrench, so if that kind of tells me they assume you need to drink. I thought maybe it meant you needed to have some fun while you're working on it, but South Africa. Call you if you need help. You need to learn a lot of things about cars. What do you do on cars down in South Africa? See how it's bent? Gotta straighten that out. When the last retaining nut stripped, I was cranking it down, but popped with pressure on it and slammed this thing against the top of the wheel well. But I didn't lose any fingers, so I guess that's a win. Ooh, I might go in and cool off before I do the other side. I think I need to take the boat out today. Spend some time on the lake in November. Along with the new power plant, I will cut the aprons off, core support, do a whole new, like an engine cage, so I can move my coilover mounts inboard more and have clearance for more up travel and better angle, so I can have a clearance with the upper control arms a little bit better. Right now with the inner fenders and the aprons, I'm limited on how far inboard I can have them. So still get a good amount of movement, way more than stock, but could always be better. So, all right, Gatorade's gone. I'm gonna go soak up some air conditioning. See about maybe taking the boat out later. I also gotta get this other side out. I might go live for that. Where do I buy my parts? I just buy stuff online, shop around, look for quality. A lot of the stuff for the front end I just built, so other than like brake parts and stuff like that that you just buy from reputable brands. It's all been kind of handmade coilovers or FOA coilovers. Like I said, they seem nice, but the money you're saving on from going Kings or Fox, there are some takeaways to that make the parts less expensive. And I think the company knows that. But if you're looking for a tunable shock, they're great. They are not the price of Fox and Kings, so you can't directly compare them. But they have a lot of options. They're tunable, they're rebuildable, so that's nice. That's what I wanted. I've had to take them in and out a lot because I've been adjusting spring rates, because when you build a whole custom home built suspension, you're going to have some tuning, suspension tuning. Even the best guys got to do suspension tuning, and I'm not the best guys, but someday, hopefully. So if you like content like this, there's a bunch of videos on the build. There's a bunch of live streams of me fabricating the control arms. I spoke of the boat. There's a whole boat restoration. I bought a boat for $175. It's 47 years old, and we went everywhere from cheap boat to taking it to the Florida Keys and fishing in it. We're doing this truck. Like I said, hopefully this weekend I'll announce the new power plant plans and video for that. Next weekend, hopefully I'll have a video put together showing the long travel off in action. And we also have another Toyota truck that we're going to build a pre-runner out of. It's a 93 Toyota pickup, 22 RE. Plans for that are turbo, 4-cylinder, 5-speed manual pre-runner for my kid. Lots to come. Lots of videos and stuff already on the channel. I believe there's 2,000 videos on the channel, so it's a little bit of something for everybody. If you like this kind of stuff, hit the subscribe, turn on notifications. Maybe I'll go live later. Thanks for talking. Peace.